Bellator 212 headlines Honolulu, Hawaii as it touches down this Friday, December 14th, and the main event is a rematch in the lightweight division for Bellator's lightweight title. It is a match against Brent Primus taking on Michael Iron Chandler. Now, before I continue into the match analysis where I provide you guys some good information, dive down into their records, into their history, and into their fight metrics, make sure you leave a comment, like, and subscribe if you haven't already. If you're new to the channel, welcome to the Complete Knockouts, the channel where we cover all things MMA related. We have match predictions, match analyses, and also the podcast with actual MMA fighters and journalists throughout the world. But without further ado, you don't care about any of that. You guys care about this match at hand. And like I previously just said, Bellator 212 in Honolulu, Hawaii. There's actually a double down event. We got Bellator 212 and Bellator 213. But with Bellator 212 coming in closer, we're going to talk about the main event. It is a rematch for the lightweight title. Brent Primus will be defending his lightweight for the first time after defeating the former holder and the current challenger, Michael Chandler, back in June of 2017. Now, first things first these two are very similar in age. They're relatively similar in physical stature, but they are miles apart in MMA experience. Now, if you don't remember how the first match went down, let me just quickly remind you. Brent Primus and Michael Chandler throwdown was stopped relatively short because Michael Chandler suffered a leg injury, more specifically an ankle injury, not even halfway through the very first round of their match. However, even with a significant and evident injury to his leg, Michael Chandler still put on quite a show. He was able to knock Brent down with a monstrous right hook. It was even back and forth, but eventually the doctor had to stop the fight because Michael was just not able to stand on that lead leg of his. We are here now. It's been over a year. We are finalizing 2018. Bellator is doing a double down event. And let's just get right into the analysis with the first person defending lightweight champion, Brent Primus. He's from Portland, Oregon. He's 33 years old. Of course, he is a lightweight. He stands at 5 foot 10 inches tall, and he holds an undefeated record of 8 wins, 0 losses. 25% coming by TKO KO, 25% coming by submission, and 50% coming by way of decision. If we look at his history, so his Bellator career picked off relatively early. Now, that is not a surprise. Bellator / Strikeforce, what they always liked to do was to pick up elite level fighters before they were relatively known to be elite fighters. Examples of that stem from Daniel Cormier, Ronda Rousey, Luke Rockhold, and now Brent Primus, who was only 2-0. Both of those victories coming by way of rear naked choke before he's picked up in Bellator in 2013. When he was picked up, though, he picked up 2 back-to-back victories relatively in 3 months span, both by way of rear naked choke, both coming in the first round. And since then, he really kept the ball rolling, topping off 2014 with a TKO victory over Chris Jones in the very first round. After that, he did get some adversary. This was after the Bjorn reign of Bellator, which moved on to the Scott Coker reign of Bellator. In Bellator 141 and Bellator 153, he took on Derek Anderson. He won via split decision, and then he took on Gladstone Santos, again another split decision victory. And then obviously in Bellator 180, he was able to dethrone Michael Chandler and claim the lightweight title. But before I really get into that specifically, I just want to say that to get a title shot after 2 back-to-back split decision victories, when your record was at that time 7-0, that is kind of a premature title shot, if you ask me. Now, don't recall fully the details of Bellator's lightweight division at that time. Of course, it's one of the divisions that they're currently building up, but still, it seems that it was relatively rushed. Good for Brent for picking it up and winning and beating Michael Chandler. However, that is something to definitely keep in mind when considering who to either choose or bet on for this fight. And if we go over to fightmetric.com, we look at his stats. Significant strikes landed per minute, 1.73. Takedown average is 5. His striking accuracy, 39%. His significant strikes absorbed per minute are more than his significant strikes landed per minute by 2.27. His striking defense is 59%. The one stat that stands out is his submission average, which is 2. That is a very high number considering the fact that that's submissions attempted per 15 minutes. And that's not just a, one lousy Kimura. It's a almost, held down submission for 30 plus seconds. Now with Brent Primus, one of my biggest beefs with him is I don't think he warranted a lightweight shot against Michael Chandler at that time. He did beat him, but he didn't defeat Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler's body broke on him. Brent Primus was very smart, and when he continued to attack the leg, when he saw it damaged, that's definitely what led him to a faster victory that seemed to be in his hands regardless of how the fight continued. But let's go over to Michael Iron Chandler. 32 years old. He stands at 5 foot 8 inches tall, so he is 2 inches shorter than Brent Primus. He holds a professional record of 18 wins, 4 losses, 39% by KO TKO, 39% by way of submission, and 22% by way of decision. If you look at his Bellator career, this guy through and through should definitely be considered one of the biggest and best talents that the UFC has never signed. He has fought in Strikeforce, Bellator Fighting Championship, Bellator MMA, and Bellator in the Scott Coker reign. This guy's a Bellator man through and through. Now, if you continue on and examine him as a fighter, as a complete fighter, one thing I have to say is he had a very impressive undefeated streak, beating the likes of Eddie Alvarez, Patrick Ifreri, Akihiro Gono, Chris Page, Marcin Held. These are all known names. David Rickles in the first round only took him 44 seconds. But then in the rematch to Eddie Alvarez, he lost via split decision, and he got beat by Will Brooks consecutively. That was back in 2014. He was able to come right back, and he then defeated Derek Campos. He defeated David Rickles, again defeated Patrick Ifreri, and then he was able to pick up a split decision victory over Benson Henderson. Now, what that tells me is that Michael Chandler is as of an elite lightweight there is in the world that there can be achievable. Beating Eddie Alvarez, both men were young in their career. That's still an achievement to hold under your belt. Beating Benson Henderson, who is also a former UFC lightweight champion, that is something to hold dear in your belt. Beating David Rickles not once but twice. Beating Derek Campos. Very, very impressive stats and a good resume to have. Now, he did lose to Brent Primus. We just talked about that. But since then, he's had a very, very active 2018. This would be his third fight of 2018. He beat Goody Yamauchi, unanimous decision, and then he was able to beat Brendan Gritz by technical submission via arm triangle. So since his title loss, he got 2 consecutive victories, but Brent Primus, since his title victory, has fought 0 times. And it's been over a year since that last bout. So does ring rust play into a factor? Does comfortability play into a factor? How is Brent Primus since that victory over Michael Chandler? We've seen Michael Chandler improve. He was able to pick himself up, and he was able to show that that leg injury is not preventing him from continuing to get more victories within the Bellator cage. But with Brent Primus, we really haven't seen enough. My decision for this match is pretty straightforward. Basing it on facts, basing on past performances, I think this is going to be an easy victory for Michael Chandler. I don't think Brent Primus deserved that first shot. I don't think he warranted the victory in a sense that it should have awarded him a title. I think to become a champion, you really have to defeat the champion, whether that's through a unanimous decision, or a split decision, whether that's through submitting him or whether that's through knocking them out. I don't make the rules, but Michael Chandler's body gave out on him before anything else did. So my pick for this fight is Michael Chandler will beat Brent Primus, and he will gain his lightweight championship back. But I do want to know what you guys think. Do you agree with me? Do you think Brent Primus will successfully defend that lightweight championship and prove to all the doubters that it wasn't a fluke that he beat Chandler in the first place? Or do you think Michael Chandler will come back stronger, better than ever, and redeem himself once again as a true Bellator champion? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Enjoy the fights this weekend. There's a lot of them. But as always, have a great day. I'll catch you next time. Peace.